further back.
Y'all, Latoya Jackson has been making headlines lately, and not just for her adventures, but also for her noticeable weight loss. Like, have you seen some of the videos she has been posting online?
Hi guys.
But guess what? She's not the only Jackson making headlines for her appearance. Janet Jackson has also sparked quite a bit of conversation online after going on a broccoli and water-only diet to lose weight. Or was it Ozempic? Honey, I don't know what's going on with the Jacksons, but whatever it is, it really needs to be addressed. Okay, if you have been following Latoya for the last couple of months, you've probably noticed that she's lost a lot of weight. But things got even more concerning when she shared a video in which she wished her followers happy holidays, and the video showed a glimpse of her Christmas celebration in Qatar. Later in the video, she posted in front of a huge lit-up centerpiece in what appeared to be a hotel lobby, asking the person behind the camera to back up to get a better view of herself and the space. Now, instead of people wishing Latoya happy holidays, they were more concerned about her appearance. People in her comment section were posting things like, "Oh wow, what's going on with her?" While a second one added, "Can we just address the elephant in the room? Something ain't quite right." On the other hand, other than the nasty comments, the post also sparked a wave of concern among her fans, highlighting the fine line between caring and overstepping boundaries when it comes to discussing someone's health. Someone even said, "Praying for her. Let's not judge other people because we don't know what this woman's been through in her life and what's really going on. Instead of us complaining about her circumstances and how she's looking, we need to be praying for her." That's how you get God's attention in your blessings, by not judging other people. Some fans also drew parallels to the late Chadwick Boseman, who faced similar scrutiny before his passing in 2020, and they reminded others of the importance of being sensitive, with several saying, "I see some of y'all ain't learned from Chadwick Boseman." But this also hasn't stopped people from sharing their concern, and based on reports, even friends and family members are concerned about Latoya's drastic weight loss, and some have reportedly even said that they are worried that she will be the next Jackson to pass after Tito, who died of a heart attack just a few months ago. For reference, when Tito had his heart attack, Terry Harvey Malpia, his business associate and best friend, opened up about his final moments, and he said, "We just got done eating turkey and chicken, laughing and talking. We were putting the top on the convertible because it started raining. That's when Tito came back on the passenger side window and said, 'My chest is hurting. Can you help Ronnie to finish the car top?' He said, 'I ain't feeling good in my chest.' He wiped his face off, took his shirt off, and it was like someone had thrown a bucket of water on him. He had about 7 doctors working on him, and it got really bad. I called his brother Marlon, and that's when he died." Understandably, the loss really affected the family, and it looks like Latoya was one of those most affected. A close source to the family even said at the time, "Latoya has been losing weight drastically, and there doesn't seem to be an end in sight. Family and friends are very worried, and fear she'll be the next Jackson family member to go. Her clothes have to be altered, as Latoya is slipping below a size 00. Generally, that size is for young girls. Latoya looks weak and unhealthy. Her friends are concerned she could die of an ED." In addition, the source also reported that Latoya was stressed from losing Tito, adding she was with him in Germany right before his shocking death. I don't know. Maybe Latoya has taken things to the extreme, or maybe she's battling something we are not aware of. But like I said, she's not the only Jackson raising concerns as of late. Janet also has been raising eyebrows for the last couple of months. When it comes to Janet, her journey with weight has been one for the books, and she's actually gone back and forth a few times. For those who recall, in late 2017, her fans started to notice that she was losing so much weight, and considering that she had given birth to her first child, Issa, less than a year prior to revealing her transformation, a lot of people wondered how she managed to lose so much weight. Well, according to trainer Paulette Siblis, the secret to her 70-pound weight loss was actually no secret at all. Instead, Janet shed the extra pounds by committing to an exercise regimen and working tirelessly toward her goal. The trainer even told E! News, "I started training her about 6 weeks after she had Issa. We had a very vigorous training schedule. We were training a minimum of 4 times a week, and the sessions were never less than 45 minutes, no more than an hour. It was very intense, though. Very intense training. There was also a time when she tried to shed 70 pounds ahead of her 2019 tour, but gained it all back and maybe more by October 2022. Now, sometime in 2024, Janet gained a lot of weight again, with reports claiming that she packed on 75 pounds. Apparently, she was crushing the scales at 180 pounds on her once petite 5'3" frame. But then all of a sudden, she lost a lot of weight again. And I'm talking about an incredible 40 pounds in just 3 months to be concert ready for the North American tour. Apparently, Janet was eating only broccoli and water to be the thinnest she's ever been. And it had been going on for months. Now, with the recent pictures she has posted, people have noted that Janet has indeed slimmed down. But it's not as alarming as with Latoya. In fact, a lot of people in her comment section are telling her that she actually looks good. But as much as some people have been saying that Janet looks great, the weight loss had a lot of people around her concerned, with an insider even saying no one thought Janet would be able to lose so much weight again in such a short amount of time, and nobody thinks it's safe to do so. A different source also said about her diet, when people worry that she's not getting enough nourishment, she brushes them off and insists she's fine. But everyone thinks her diet is unhealthy and that it's all going to catch up to her in some horrible way. Maybe not tomorrow, but someday. Janet is really putting herself at risk. She's up, down, up, down. She lost 80 pounds to get in shape for last year's tour, only to pack it all back on. Now she's got to do it again, and it'll be hell on her body. We also have fans who have said that they may be a little bit concerned because the weight loss, even though it wasn't to the extent of her sister, was pretty drastic, and that could be harmful. On the other hand, we had several people also saying that whatever is happening with the Jacksons is just the result of the childhood trauma they've experienced, which is now presenting in different forms. Child, if I'm being honest, the things the family has said about what they went through growing up have been insane. Remember when Latoya talked about how their dad used to physically and emotionally torture them as kids?
Bring your vehicle to any Hendrick location and ask for the road ready maintenance package.
Keeping you safe anywhere you want to go.
Remember when Latoya talked about how their dad used to physically and emotionally torture them as kids? She even said that their dad continued manhandling Michael and his brothers even as adults.
Called it a highly dysfunctional family, although on the surface it seemed like the American dream.
Yes, of course, naturally. In our family, because that was always that facade up there, smiling in front of the cameras. That when we got home, it was totally different. It was an entirely different lifestyle at home.
So what was it like at home?
It was very, very hard. My father was very strict. He does.
What would you say he did you? Did he spank you, whip you? I mean, what?
He had a belt. You say in the book. Belts, whips, whatever. My brothers were grown, and my father would take his fist and he would punch them and knock them down the steps constantly. To this day, no, of course not. To this day, they are still afraid of my father, and they will tell you. They come to me and they say, Latoya, we have kids in college and we're afraid of my father still today.
In fact, she said that Joe even roughed Michael up in the midst of the success of his iconic records Off the Wall and 1982's Thriller, which is the biggest selling album of all time. Like, the world saw MJ up on the stage accepting the awards and smiling, but behind the scenes, his father was chasing him around the house and MJ was running from him, terrified. Latoya is also the same person who said that her dad also took advantage of her older sister Rebe, and for those who recall, there were also allegations that Joe had also taken advantage of Michael. See, Latoya didn't specifically name MJ, but in her memoir, she also claimed her mother knew what her father was doing to her and her sister, writing, "When your father gets out of bed with your mother and gets into bed with his daughter, and you hear the mother saying, 'No, Joe, not tonight, let her rest, leave her alone, she's tired,' that makes you crazy." She also said that her dad started sleeping with her when her sister left when she was 16, which meant that she was aged around 11 when her father allegedly targeted her. Latoya also said that she didn't know if their dad did anything to Janet, but she knew that she was tired of what their dad was doing to all of them. Remember, Michael was also pretty open about their traumatic childhood and even talked about how if they missed a step or a note during rehearsals, Joe would, quote, tear them up with the buckle end of a belt or an electrical cord or a tree branch he'd have them break off themselves in their backyard.
I would think you make you strip nude first. He will oil you down. It would be a whole ritual. He will oil you down. So when the flip of the ironing cord hit you, it just, and it was just like me dying. And you just flipped all over your face, your back, everywhere. I always hear my mother be like, "No, Joe, you gotta kill, no." I would just give up. Like there was nothing I can do.
Michael also said that his dad would call them names as part of his authoritarian hold over them. And specifically for him, his dad would continuously call him Big Nose, hence his alleged obsession with plastic surgery to fix his nose later on. He also said that he had fainted at least once when his dad walked in the room because of how scared he was of him. And while recalling games he would play with his siblings, Michael said that once he told Janet to close her eyes and picture their father in a coffin. Then he asked Janet whether she felt sorry for him, and her answer was nope. So yeah, a lot of people actually believe that whatever is going on with Latoya and Janet is a manifestation of childhood trauma that never healed and family trauma that is still going on. What do you think of Latoya and Janet's appearance as of late? Do you also think that they need serious help? Is their family trauma to blame? Drop those thoughts in the comments section below.
Get premium tax filing without the premium price tag at freetaxusa.com.
Madison, oh my God.
I'm like a little shaky.
And further back.
Latoya Jackson has been making headlines recently, not only for her weight loss, but also for some shocking revelations about her.
Having your information freely available on the internet makes it easier for anyone to impersonate you online or...
Have you had any contact with friends or family since you've been at this facility for now going on 8 months?
No. Nobody, you guys.
Mark, this is crazy. Welcome to the Two Angry Men podcast. Harvey Levin here.
Mark Garrigus here.
So
are you angry today?
I am so angry. And I'm not saying this to be dramatic. I am outraged at what I have seen over the last month or so. I have been talking with Wendy Williams for hours on end. And Mark, Wendy is going to be joining us on the podcast in just a few minutes. This woman is being treated, in my opinion, like a criminal, locked up in an assisted living facility where she can't go outside. People can't call her. People can't visit her. She has no internet. She is in one room, Mark, day after day, week after week, month after month. And this has been going on for a long time. She is under a guardianship, which may have made sense 2 years ago. It does not.
Hey, if you live in one of these cities right here, why don't you own an apartment building? Seriously, let me show you a path.
2 years ago, it does not make sense today.
Well, look, you had sent a clip and I encouraged you to play it because I will tell you something. If you watch this clip like I did, you will see almost immediately, I think you will, that what the genesis of this was, and it was the genesis of all of this was a mother's love for her son and that situation. Then you combine that mother's love for a son with a lot of money and then injecting the judicial system into it. And you get into what I think and what you have kind of articulated is the system run amok. And that's unfortunate, but that's where we are right now.
And before we play the clip, I think you got to understand that a couple of years ago, Wendy was in a bad state. And you saw it if you watched this Lifetime documentary. Alcohol was involved and she needed help. And maybe there was, and we're going to play this clip, there was a reason to have a financial guardianship and I would say a personal guardianship as well. This woman is back to who she was. She is sober. She is focused. She is with it. She is the old Wendy Williams, but stuck in a guardianship where I think she's being treated like a prisoner. So let's get to the clip. This is how the guardianship started. And as Mark said, we'll get into how it ran amok. Did anybody ever explain to you why you're in a guardianship?
No, not exactly. But you know what? There are some things that I do know for myself. You know what I'm saying? and I understand. It's about my money, you know what I'm saying?
Can you talk to me about how Wendy ended up in a guardianship?
My understanding is somebody was in her bank account that Wells Fargo flagged, and there was large withdrawals being taken out.
My son, you know, he overstepped his boundaries in terms of me. You understand? He overstepped his boundaries, and he was inappropriately using my money without telling me crap about it. You know, like, is he stealing from me? Look, all I know is that in terms of what I'm dealing with, and that this is still going on, because, you know, that's when my money got frozen at Wells Fargo. Thank God. No more money stealing from my son and the other people.
Wells Fargo, your bank, said you were the victim of undue influence and financial exploitation with respect to your money. Who was unduly influencing you? Who is the person that was doing this?
We've got great news for seniors. The Social Security Administration.
Thank you. Listen, my son is a really good person. You know what? Oh, God, I'm not going to cry about that. Oh, I'm sorry for cursing. Look, my son is a good person, but at this point, he is a horrible person to me. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's the way he moves with other people. You know what I'm saying? And what's going on with these other people at my apartment in Miami? What are you doing? Oh, you spent on what? And what is going on at Wells Fargo?
There was a situation where Kevin says he wanted to rent a boat for his birthday for $1,500 and ended up getting a boat that rented out for $113,000, and he blamed it on the bank, that the bank wanted him to have that. That never really made sense to me.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? He has a way of getting with, you know, a couple of other people. You know what I'm saying? My son is not the only one, you know what I'm saying, involved with my money. You know what I'm saying?
In September, we know the judge said this in court. While Mr. Hunter, that's the son, Kevin, apologized for past mistakes and inappropriate behavior, the court is not convinced that he can keep her safe and wouldn't willingly or unwittingly expose her to financial exploitation. Does that resonate with you?
Yes. Yes.
Ladies, look at me. Now look at your man. Now look back at me. Now look at your man.
Yes. Yes.
Kevin has denied any impropriety when it came to Wendy's finances, and also that he cannot speak on camera because he's not allowed to per the judge. If Wendy is released, should she be placed under the care of her son, Kevin?
No. This is how we got here in the first place.
My aunt loves her son very much. But I think that there are other options at this point in terms of who can care for and make sure that his mother at 60 years old is taken care of properly.
So it started as a financial guardianship because this bank, Wells Fargo, realized somebody was getting into her bank account and pulling money out. And at the same time, the judge realized Wendy was struggling and put her under a guardianship of her person. Now, somehow, this guardianship turned into, let's basically put her in a room and not let anybody have access. Mark, the way I did this interview with her, I had to have a camera on the street, on the sidewalk, shooting up at the window. And she was at the window and she had a phone to her ear. And that's the only way that I could pull this off.
I've had this experience where, and by the way, the banks, to their credit, you don't hear me compliment banks all that often, but to their credit, when they see something that looks like it may be abusive, they'll step in. I've had them do that with a client of mine who was being unduly influenced. They did that here, and that's normally kind of what happens and what triggers this financial oversight. What we're talking about here is this financial oversight that then morphs into this almost this straitjacket. And I will tell you, by the way, all you have to do is walk out on the streets of downtown LA or Midtown Manhattan. You can go 2 blocks and you will see people who should be under a conservatorship because they can't control themselves, but they aren't because the conservatorship laws do not allow somebody to just go in and take them over.
That's right.
Here, however, because there's money, the system, it rings the bell.
How about this? Kanye West is a free man. Wendy Williams is in a guardianship locked in a room. This is, I'm telling you, I have spent, and we're about to bring Wendy in. I have spent hours upon hours upon hours speaking with her over the last month or so. This woman is back to who she was, yet she is in this guardianship. And I'm going to get into this later, but I know I'm not a doctor, but I've interviewed doctors about this, and I think she's been misdiagnosed. They say she has something called frontotemporal dementia. And the thing about that is it never gets better. It only gets worse. Wendy has gotten better. When you listen to her, and you listened to her 2 years ago and you listen to her today, she is back to who she was. And it wouldn't get better if it were that.
She obviously, when you're talking to her, she is rational. She is responding. She's actually parsing out. And that's what's heartbreaking about it. The fact she doesn't want to say something negative about her son. She kind of dances around it.
Right.
Because we all understand that that's a very, very difficult situation. Nobody's kind of condemning her for it. But she shouldn't be, on the other hand, condemned into this kind of crazy situation that she's been relegated to.
And again, we're going to bring Wendy in a minute, but I got to tell you something. The Guardian in this case,
Packing to go on a trip used to break my heart because of how sad Ralph would get. You can't come.
But is suing on behalf of Wendy, A&E, which produced this Lifetime documentary, saying they took advantage of her. She didn't give consent to it. And Wendy does not want this lawsuit. And you got to start wondering what is going on here, because the reality is this, that when they shot that documentary on Lifetime, the Guardian was in place, and the Guardian could have gone to the shoots and watched it and stopped it or really gotten involved. And the Guardian didn't. The Guardian said, let our manager just be there. And the Guardian didn't do it. And now the Guardian sees the Lifetime documentary and says, it's A&E's fault. Mark, whose fault is that?
Well, by the way, you were kind enough to send me the filing on that today. I took one look at it. I would think most 1Ls or 2Ls would tell you, I'm looking at that, wait a second, didn't we just learn about prior restraint in con law our first year? Why are you thinking that you're going to be able to restrain A&E from actually airing something, especially when you in real time knew what was happening here? You just didn't like the result.
Right. Now, Mark, the Guardian is saying it's A&E's fault. The Guardian is the one responsible for protecting Wendy, at least in theory. And if the Guardian wasn't there, whose fault is it if the documentary went off the rails?
And by the way, were there checks written by A&E, and who were they written to, and where did that money go? And if you followed the money, it makes it even more infuriating.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the Guardian. It was the Guardian's responsibility. And the Guardian, I think, is deflecting and blaming it on A&E. And my sense of this, and again, this is just my opinion, is that the Guardian realized, oh, crap, maybe I should have been there. So the reaction is put her in a room, let's lock the door, and we won't have a situation like this again. And you're doing that to a human being.
The one thing that's kind of peculiar about all of this, I watched the clip and the doc that you put together. And I believe what we just heard in that clip was the niece. And the niece, I thought, was very very attuned to what was happening here. Who knows? I mean, she could have been.
No, she is. She is. Her name is Alex.
She got what was happening here and had, obviously, it appears obvious, and maybe Wendy will correct me, but at least her aunt's best interests at heart. If that is the case, and the son is kind of in a fractious state with his mother right now, why isn't the niece there at least as a co-guardian, or at least there to kind of present some check and balance if you need that? And why is this an overreaching one that's kind of a 360? Why is she enveloped in the whole thing as opposed to just somebody who's overseeing the finances?
Yeah, why she shouldn't be I'm sorry, I'm upset about this. She shouldn't be in a guardianship as far as I'm concerned. She should have a sober coach, somebody taking care of her money. Her niece, Alex, loves her. Gina, who's been a caregiver, just loves her. There are people around. Why is she in this guardianship? Okay. Wendy is on the phone right now, which is about all she can do. And Wendy, I know you've listened to what Mark and I have said. First of all, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Good to see you. Hi, Mark. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Wendy. It's a pleasure. I'm sorry it's under these circumstances.
Well, you want to know what? I'm going through a really bad thing right now, but at least I've got good people with me. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
And starting with you, definitely. Harvey, listen, this thing that you were talking about that 4-part thing on TV,
Lifetime.
Her reputation is on the line.
You're talking about The Guardian.
Yes, thank you. Well, look, I'm not talking. You do the talking. You know
I was going to ask you, Wendy, are you, because this was striking to me. Are you being told you can't talk? I mean, I don't even understand where that comes from.
Listen. You know why? Because you know the law. I don't know the law, but I just know what I'm going through. You understand what I'm saying? And I know that to have, for instance, my girl next to me by my side. Are you still there, girl?
Bring your vehicle to any Hendrick location and ask for the road ready maintenance package.
Keeping you safe anywhere you want to.
My girl next to me by my side. Are you still there, girl?
Yeah, I'm here.
That's, by the way, that's Gina, and Gina is a caregiver who's been helping Wendy through all of this.
Hi, Gina.
So the thing is that as far as I know, first of all I know about being on TV is that I was on TV for a long time. You know what I'm saying? So when that 4-part thing got on TV, I was like, oh, okay. In the meantime, the Guardian person was nowhere in sight at all. I mean, taking photo shoots, doing this, doing that. She was nowhere in sight. I had no idea that she was actually basically the boss of that thing. So that lawsuit, it's none of my problem. I wasn't a part of that. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been doing stuff with Lifetime for a long time when I was doing anyway. I don't want that kind of money. That is not a lawsuit worth fighting for.
Well, Wendy, I have to ask you something. And if you don't want to talk about this, because I know that you've been under some pressure not to talk, as Mark said, but
I have to tell you, as a guardianship person, I feel that I've been, emotionally abused.
Well, I wanted to talk about that. When you say emotionally abused, who's telling you you can't talk? Who's doing that? I mean, to me, that's just frankly outrageous. Why are they telling you this? How are they framing this?
Well, first of all, where I am, Mark, and Harvey knows where I am, this 3rd floor, it's called the memory floor.
I know so much about this now. Wendy, it's the 5th floor. The 3rd floor is a gym.
I'm sorry, because you know what? I still haven't gone to the gym, which is on the 3rd floor. Right. I tried to go to the gym 4 times, and 4 times I still haven't gone to the gym to work out. You know what I'm saying? I thought as a guardian, you're supposed to help me do things like that. I thought, and these people just, I'm frustrated. You know what I'm saying? But I can't say so much, but I am.
So, Wendy, the judge in this case, my understanding, and these are all, secret sessions that the judge has. Everything's under seal. The judge, my understanding, the judge is pushing you to pursue this A&E lawsuit. Number one, am I correct? And number two, do you have any idea why, if I'm correct?
Well, there's a lot of money that I was told I would win. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care about that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? I want to get out of guardianship. I've been in this for over 3 years, and I don't have frontal temporal dementia, which I've been accused of having. I've been accused of that. I want my health back. I want my money back, and I want to move on with the rest of my life.
Mark, you can hear her. She sounds fine.
Wendy, haven't they tested you? I mean, you're in a facility. It's got a memory component to it. I would assume they're doing some kind of cognitive testing on a regular basis so that they can track whether or not you're declining or improving or anything else. If that's the case, is anybody taking those results of the cognitive testing and putting it in front of the court and saying, this no longer holds?
I don't know. I mean, this is what accused I've been of frontal temporal dementia. I feel like I've been abused to the highest power. Like my life is like, it's just good to be talking to good people. That's all I can say. It's just good. And it's good to be heard. Even if it's through the window.
even if it's through the window. Wendy, you actually pressured, I think, the guardian and the judge to force a reevaluation of you, to have doctors look at you, re-examine you, and see if you're okay enough now to get out. The thing that really shocked me is that the lawyer, I believe, for the guardian came out and said, yeah, we're going to do a reevaluation, but we think it's probably going to be the same result, the same diagnosis. How does this lawyer for a guardianship know that to say it? Because I don't know how many times she's talked to you. My guess is I've talked to you a lot more than she has. Charlemagne has talked to her a lot more than she has. Rosanna Scotto has talked to her a lot more than she has. Alex has talked to her a lot more than she has. Gina has talked to her a lot more than she has. And yet she comes out with this statement, yeah, you're a goner. You're probably just deteriorating. I was shocked at that.
You know what? She likes that. She likes that. And she feels that as long as I'm, hidden, in this stupid place where I am, that nobody will hear the truth from me. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's a lawyer. That is a lawyer for you.
Thanks. We won't take that personal.
No, not you. You know who I'm talking about.
We do.
I'm talking about a woman, not a man.
So you're actually able to go to Miami this week. The judge actually did concede that, and you're going to be able to go for your dad's 94th birthday. It's almost the first taste of freedom in a long, long time for you, even though it's just a couple of days.
It's mind-boggling to me that Wendy Williams, who we're talking to right now, has to apply to a court to travel to her father's birthday party when I can walk down the street and in 30 seconds I can find 20 people who aren't able to function and think they're in an alternate reality, and there's nothing that the cops can do.
This turbo hybrid makes your whole team feel at home.
Risk it, anyone?
And think they're in an alternate reality, and there's nothing that the cops can do.
Yeah, I mean, there are constraints that I am going to tell, when I'm in Miami, but I don't want to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? I just want things to go so good, and I'll be, by the way, doing a little shopping for me and my dad while I'm in Miami.
So, I do have a question about that. I know you love your son, and I know there have been issues. Is Kevin going to be there as far as you know?
Yeah, he'll be there. I will see him at a particular place, particular location. Me and my son, yes.
I will.
Have you been
I don't
talking?
want to say too much.
Have you been talking to him? Because obviously he's involved in all of this.
Yes, listen. I don't want to talk about my son. You know what I'm saying? Like my son is my son. You know what I'm saying? And a guardian is a guardian.
Yeah.
And two are not the same at all.
Yeah.
By the way,
my son alone. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
I gave you, I give you a lot of props. I thought in that clip that you parsed out as diplomatically as possible the fact that, look, you're his mother. You're not going to denigrate the guy. He's your son. You love him to death. And how does loving your son and forgiving your son translate into being in your own personal jail, so to speak, or prison? It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, you love your son. It happened, right?
Look, things happen. The point is that, I have no idea what kind of money I have left. I have no idea. You know what I'm saying? There are things that I thought a guardian is supposed to do for you that still haven't been done for me. And I don't want to be involved. I want to be free.
Yeah, you want to be free. You want an accounting. You want to know what you got. Which, by the way, it's your money. Why can't you get an accounting of the money? I mean, that should be given to you on a daily basis if you want it.
Listen, her reputation is on the line because that 4-part thing, like I said, I shouldn't have been doing that at all. If that's your person, then you're not supposed to be doing things at all. You're not supposed to be looking at it.
I get it. No, I get it. Wendy, I want to say something. And Mark, look, I know I'm kind of bullish on Wendy getting out of this guardianship, which I am. But I just want to say, I don't feel this way about every case I see where somebody's locked up unjustly.
Boy, you're not kidding.
I mean, I was against Britney Spears getting out of her conservatorship, which is the same as a guardianship, not because I dislike Britney, I don't. It's the opposite. She has a really serious mental illness, and that's established by 24 doctors. And I think there was a lot of pressure and ill-advised publicity around it, and the judge folded. But it's not like every time I see something, I say, oh, they should get out of it, because I took a lot of crap for saying what I said about Britney. This case is so clear to me. When I did a quiz with Wendy. I threw topics out to her during this documentary, which, by the way, is on Tubi, and you can watch this. And she didn't know what I was going to ask. And I'm telling you, it's like she was doing her television show. She's fine. She's fine. There are, you could throw a rock and find people who are unstable, but not Wendy Williams. And
But there's a difference. The people who are unstable, who are out on the street, you can't do anything with, and Wendy Williams, the difference is money. Who's got the money? She's got money. Money fuels all of this. I don't want to cast any aspersions here, but I'm going to bet that the Guardian's getting paid. The Guardian's lawyer is getting paid.
Oh, please.
Yeah. So there's money being generated here, and it's very difficult to wean off of that when there's money being generated.
I have sources, and Wendy, I haven't even talked to you about this, but my understanding is that you are going to move to end this guardianship in court. The problem is going before the judge, who seems determined to keep you in this guardianship, and the guardian herself. That seems like a pretty high mountain to climb.
No comment.
Hi, my name is Katie Teague, and this is Why Go Flooring. Once I contacted Go Flooring after seeing the ad on Instagram,